Good evening and welcome to Slam the Gavel, the show that tells it all regarding family court, criminal court, and other court issues, as well as CPS. I am your host, Maryann Petri. You can find me, my books, and blogs on dismantlingfamilycourtcorruption.com, as well as on Amazon. My books are on audio as well. Now, I have a return guest. I have Nicole Amill. She was last on season 6, episode 325, which was November 2nd, 2025, where we talked about family court secrets and Ohio's SB 174. And today we're going to talk about orders that magistrates are writing where it appears that they're violating Title 4D for court fees. I welcome you back. Nicole, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Glory to God.
Okay.
hmm
So they're doing some underhanded things, it looks like.
Unfortunately, it's a lot of parents and all the mothers been coming forward, like I said, to me, um, confiding in me. We have built a support group because we found out through, trial and error that when we go to use these resources, a lot of times, like, the domestic violence resources and stuff, um, you're not really safe there. I hate to say it like that. A lot of people are,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? Because they do help people. I'm not going to say they don't, because in order to keep the funding, they have to show proof of, success.
Right.
Um, but there are those that don't get the help that they need, and that's an unfortunate situation. Like anything, like with CPS, there are those who have good experiences where they're like, I had a good foster parent
Mhm.
because, foster home versus my biological home. Um, but then there is a good amount that don't aren't success stories. So this is where it's falling into that. So um, that's how we ended up growing together. Some mothers are coming together because they're seeing that I'm so brave.
Mhm.
It really helped a lot that I testified against SB 174 because now people are hearing who I am, what my name is,
Mhm.
what I stand for, where my passion and my advocacy is for, and just the fact that I was so courageous to do that. I've had grandparents reach out to me.
Mhm.
I've had people from California reach out to me. Parent it's all over. It's people are recognizing the fact that not many people would stand up the way that I am right now. And I'm not taking any credit for that
Mhm.
at all. All my, faith is in the Lord, and I lead by faith, not by sight. Because of course, when you actually focus and you kind of like focus on the waves, you'll sink. You won't walk on water.
Yeah.
Like, so it's a lot of waves, unfortunately, with sharks in the water.
Oh, you're
So,
not
so
kidding.
I have
Yeah.
to stay above the waves for
Oh,
sure.
definitely.
But I can tell you right now that my how can I say, my drive, my passion, where I get this from is like it's from my Lord and Savior. I'm gonna say that right off rip. Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. I get all my strength from the Lord. And the world hated him first, so of course they're gonna hate me.
Hmm.
And um
Yeah.
but he said there's only one true religion, and that's taking care of orphans and widows.
Right.
And you're supposed to speak for those who can't speak, and children are crying out, parents are crying out, and I just happened to be thrown in a situation where just I didn't ask for this, it's just happening, so
Hmm.
it is what it is.
And you had sent me something in regards to Guardian Ad Litem fees.
Yes. hmm
Now, and that was it was so ordered by a magistrate, James Smith.
hmm
So, would you like me to read that now?
Yeah, you can go ahead and read it.
Okay. It says all guardian ad litem fees in this case are to be considered in the nature of child support and constitute a domestic support obligation as defined by the United States Bankruptcy Code as amended effective October 17th, 2005. The court enters this order with the express intention that the resulting financial obligation arises from professional services benefiting the minor child or children. In this case, and that the fees are not dischargeable bankruptcy. Furthermore, a failure to satisfy payment of guardian ad litem fees may subject a party to contempt proceedings.
Correct.
That is crazy.
It doesn't sound right, and it looks even worse on paper. And that's where it's just mind blowing to me because, first of all, from my understanding in I believe it's the Ohio Constitution, it states that you cannot go to jail for debt. You can't be jailed for debt.
Right.
Um,
Technically.
Technically, yes. So what I'm finding here, and I have the tendencies to think outside of the box, I guess, or from the outside looking in.
Mhm,
And my whole understanding of that, what I focus on is you're taking from the children by doing this.
mhm,
Because as much as I don't get along with my ex-husband, as much as I've had a past of domestic violence or whatever the case may be,
mhm,
what good is it that I would force child support that would put my ex-husband in jail and then my son has to see him in jail? Like, I don't care. Like, I'm gonna make this very clear. I don't
mhm,
care what adults think of me. I
mhm,
don't care what feelings are hurt when it comes to the well-being, safety, and priority of children.
mhm,
Okay, and I'm gonna make that very clear. I don't care about my feelings. I don't care about their feelings. I don't, because at the end of the day, if we can't stay focused on our future, which we're reliant on these children,
mhm,
we rely on them as much as we want to act like we're invincible and the government's acting like they're not going nowhere, and you know what I mean? These children will be in those seats.
mhm.
And the way things are going, I see no future for us whatsoever if
Yeah,
we continue on the path that we're in.
I have to agree with you.
Because what you're going to put all these damaged children now as damaged adults, and they're going to be sitting in these seats. That's very horrifying sight for me to even visualize.
Mhm, mhm,
And so with that said, if you're not supposed to be jailed for debt, and guardians ad litems that are appointed by the court is actually constitute it equals court fees,
mhm,
then this is kind of like a gray area loophole that they're making you into a criminal. They're making you into. So technically, like for example, July, the first week of July, I got food poisoning. I was hospitalized.
mhm,
I was hospitalized the majority of the month. And I came into work and injured myself further because they're garnishing my salary.
mhm,
And the intent of it was to turn guardian ad litem fees into child support. That was the intent of my garnishment.
mhm,
And they went against my here they I got no hearing for it. They went against the motion to stay. They went against the objections, and they just went and inflated my income, said I have this extra rental, which I said I don't, because the apartment was unlivable. It didn't even have heat. You know, the lady died. I need to renovate the apartment. It was just a whole mess. And I wore my heart on my sleeve by telling them everything.
mhm,
And they went and inflated my income. And then I came back and said, I even gave them proof that I only have one rental because you have to register each rental in Lorain County.
mhm.
And I registered only one rental, and I'm not a liar. You know what I mean? So it's like, it was just so wild. And I came to work, injured myself more because I know they're garnishing my salary and I don't want to go to jail.
Right, right.
So, and what blows my mind is that if you actually look at anything between me and my ex-husband, I'm the only parent that owns a home that my child will inherit. I'm the only parent that has wages that actually can be accounted for and garnished. I'm the only parent that has medical, dental, and vision provided. I'm the only parent. So everything, like what are they doing over there? babysitting.
Right.
Like
It,
these are glorified babysitters at this point because it's if I'm providing each and everything,
mhm,
then and I still, I'm paying child support and they're like, "Oh, you should have a card that says what they're spending it on." No, because I know a child doesn't eat air.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I get that. You know what
right.
I mean? That's not my business. Once it goes out, according to my beliefs and what God, that whatever they do with it, that's between them and God. If they
Hmm.
don't provide for the child, if they don't do their part, that's between them and God. Everything that happens in the dark obviously comes to the light, as you can see with what
Hmm.
you just wrote. Like
Yeah.
read what you just read. It's
Uh,
like everything comes through. So
yeah.
I'm just mind blown over how I even got that document because they were able to garnish me, but they weren't able to turn the guardian ad litem fees into child support
Mm,
because the child support enforcement agency interfered and said that that wasn't a lawful thing that they can do. But then when I'm over here fixing my apartment downstairs, finally, and doing some floors. I'm listening to worship music, praising the Lord, and
mm,
I see I missed 9 messages. And I'm like, what is this? So I look,
mm,
and she's like, Nicole, didn't you say this is not legal?
mhm.
And I'm like, oh, don't tell me don't tell me you just gave this to me. And she was like, mind blown. She's like, wait, but if the child support enforcement agency said that it's not right, you can't do that, why'd they do it in my case?
They
And
do whatever they want.
I was minding my business, worshiping. I'm gonna repeat this. I was worshiping the Lord,
Uh-huh.
laying some floors down, minding my business. And parents come to me because they're like, "Didn't you say?" And I'm gonna continue telling the truth. Like
Mhm,
I can't unsee it. I was already put in it. And all of these terms and all of these things, I just keep thinking how the children are being kept from the parents.
mhm,
And if you read recently all of the things that they um they they're saying, like they're called child and mother sabotage. It's called CAMS. That's something that also they talk about. And so that's all things that come up. And you talk about ACEs, adverse childhood,
experience.
experience, and these things leave long lasting effects on these children.
Hmm.
And all I'm seeing is this court of equity not being equal. This court of equity just literally looking to just take money. Like
Yeah.
it's just mind-boggling how people would just push the envelope like that and try it. So now we're going down a whole new rabbit hole now. Now
Hmm.
with like, okay, you're using Title 4D funding and 4E funding agency to extort parents out of money, allegedly.
Hmm. Yeah, sure. We'll go with that.
I'm just like it just gets deeper and deeper, and I'm just like, and these parents are like crying out to me like, Nicole, like I'm some kind of savior, and I'm like, listen, Jesus
Mm-mm.
Christ is the savior. I'm just minding my business, and I'm a willing vessel. Now what do we do? So now they weren't able to do that to me, but they still inflated my income. They
Right.
still garnished me. They still push, and then they put me to supervised visits because I can't afford the GAL fees. I can't
Oh,
afford these things because, and then they made it seem like it was because I recorded my son. And then she, said to my face, she's like, she goes, well, he said he misses his mother,
oh,
but he's acting out. I was
jeez.
like, did you just hear yourself?
Right.
So she's like, well, it's a pattern. Because she was mocking me. And I said, yeah, well, my recording is transparency. We should try it sometime.
Right.
Like, I don't know what to tell you. If the person was actually there monitoring or the person was there showing up, but she only spoke to me one time for 1 hour. She's had this case for 822 days.
Oh, and only talks to you for 1 hour.
1 hour.
It
Had
makes,
my case for about 7 months and transferred custody, saying that my child was in imminent danger and that I committed emotional harm
ah,
because we opposed a third party that's not even a party to the case. They used the reunification therapy. And then if you look at the orders, the reunification wasn't even like reunification. The psychologist was supposed to be used to figure out a better safety plan for the child because he decided to move into a home that had an active zero contact order between the kids. So the court's priority was to make sure the best interest of the child.
mm,
And that's what's said in the writing of the order is that the psychologist was to find a safety plan
hmm,
for the child, not forced reunification. So I just
yeah,
the whole point, and so when they threatened me and all that stuff, and the doctor was like, came into the room and was like, hey, come on, you'll be fine. And then she's like, if you don't, basically, I'm not saying it verbatim, but she's like, basically, if you don't force him to go, I'm going to tell the courts you're not cooperating. I did my part. I brought him to the session.
right.
If he doesn't want to go, he doesn't want to go.
Mm-mm,
It's not my job to force a child into reunification with somebody who's not even a party of the case. See, we would have an argument if it was actually with the father. And they would say, I'm not encouraging the relationship between the parents, which in reality is what they're doing.
mm-hmm,
I even have it in writing right now. But I'm an objective person from one, my training, two, my upbringing, three, my culture, my beliefs. You know what I mean? So it's like a lot of things form my way of doing things. I don't expect everybody to be like me, but
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just, but yeah, this has been a whole mess, and just they want to force these reunification. They want to force fees, and then they're making it into child support. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't give birth to the guardian ad litem. I don't see
Uh-huh.
how she's my obligation. And if I only make $21.30 an hour, how can I afford attorney pay rate?
No.
I was on modest means when I got my attorney.
Uh-huh.
So they said that I could only afford $75 an hour for my attorney. But then they tacked on fees too. So now we're already over my thing. Nobody took into consideration everybody's wages, and nobody took into consideration the fact that my ex-husband's living in a home that's worth over 200,000 and it's paid off.
Must be nice. Yeah.
And that's, but you know what? In all reality, I'm not even a hater. That's a blessing for somebody.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even, you know what I mean? But the point is, like, those things need to be taken into consideration when you're doing the numbers.
Right.
Not put all the guardian ad litem fees on me, then try to force it through child support enforcement, and then hold me in contempt if I can't meet what you're putting over my head. I'm already underwater.
Oh.
So a court is not, listen, what is the psychology oath? There's do no harm, right? That's
Mhm,
a
mhm.
psychologist takes. What did she do? She forced my child to see another child that had an active zero contact. And when he said no, and I asserted my rights, because as soon as she threatened me, I said, oh, coercion? That's how we do our job here is coercion? She goes, no, this isn't coercion. I said, this is absolutely coercion. She goes, no, it's not. You know what? You can leave. I don't have to take this.
Ah, oh. Do you want me to play that recording?
Yeah, go ahead, because you know what? They're going hard on me right now. And as God is my witness, I will advocate for every parent in Ohio until change happens,
Mm-hmm.
because they cannot use these courts as just to restrict. First of all, states ain't even supposed to make a law that takes away our rights. Nevertheless, get together and weaponize the court
I agree.
against families. You know what I mean? Like, that just sounds absurd to me. So let's
Mhm.
go. I mean, it is what it is. I come with the
Okay.
truth.
Okay.
Of course, the court that you're not making cooperate, so you better get them to cooperate. Okay. You're not threatening? That's coercion? No. Is that what we're thinking? No, that is not coercion. That is coercion. No, it is not, ma'am. No, it is not, ma'am. Do you want me to have you leave? Because I'm not putting up with that. He can come back. He'll be fine. I've talked to him. He can come back. If you decline to have him come back, then the court will handle whatever way that wants. I'm going to let him do what he feels he wants to do. And he's how old? He is 7 years old. So he makes decisions about if he goes to the doctor, goes to school, he decides that. It's not that if he feels uncomfortable. Why don't you talk to your mom, talk to him for a few minutes, then I'll come back and check, okay? But we discussed this before. Yes, we did. Yes. You two talk and I'll be back out. I'm hoping that you'll get him to go, but if not, it's not up to me. I'm not going to drag him or touch him. You can talk with him, okay? And I'll come back in 5 minutes, okay? Sound good? I'll be back. I just don't see how this is a benefit to him if he literally just came out hostile towards me and I feel uncomfortable. No, I'm sorry, ma'am. No, that was very unprofessional. And no, he's not forensic psychologist. No, it's not, ma'am. She really not address that like that in front of my child. Ma'am, no, what would you like me to do? No, this is not trauma. I just taught you. That's not trauma. You know that this is what you need to do. If you don't want to, then where are you going? No, I need to breathe real quick. Sorry. Okay. I'll be back in a minute. Thank you.
That's just, wow, that's unbelievable, isn't it?
My heart was racing so bad I felt like I was going to pass out. And the room was really, really small that they put me in with my two sons.
Uh,
And so I started hyperventilating, like, and I wanted to leave the room, but as we were speaking, she was blocking the door and not letting me pass her. And I'm like, excuse. She's like, where are you
yeah,
going? I'm like, I need to breathe. Like, I needed to get out in the open into the lobby because I was like, this room is making me like, you literally just,
claustrophobic.
she literally, when she said that to me, I thought jail.
Oh,
Contempt of court, you're putting me in jail. I'm not a criminal. Listen, I'm from New York City. I was raised in the Bronx. My whole family are military and police. The Bronx is filled with evil and hood stuff. You know what I mean? I could have easily went bad, but
mhm,
I admire my family and I always strive to do the right thing. You just threatened me with my worst fear.
mhm. That's just terrible.
Like, I don't want to be a criminal. I am a law abiding citizen. And to say that to a citizen that is law abiding just because he didn't want to go, you automatically reverted to a threat to me of prison time.
Oh,
Like, you literally just threatened my whole livelihood
uh-huh.
by saying, if you don't force him to go, did you not read the order and the purpose that you have? And that's to find a safety plan? Did you not take an oath?
And what is her level of education again? Do you know?
She specializes in federal prison system and
Ah,
drug addiction. And she has a psychology place. And it's just, it's absurd to me. She's never had any children, from my understanding. I don't know if she did or not, but from my understanding, no. And I don't believe she's ever been married. I don't know what this woman, she just lives for her career. 40
she,
years of this. I've spoke to a mother where the child is aged out, and she said that doctor, the doctor literally, they forced her son to go see this doctor when he was little, and he became a drug addict after her treatments,
mm-hmm.
and that they forced him to be with his abuser. These are parents that are coming forward. Like, if people actually check
Mhm.
the receipts and follow up with what the care was and how it affected these people, it's absolutely horrifying.
Yes. Lasting effects, the adverse childhood experience score. She's talking to you like she's a corrections officer.
And she's been in the but it makes sense, because if you've been in the federal prison system and that's what you specialize in, you're going to treat me like I'm some inmate.
Right, right.
But as me, with my family being police officers and my dad actually working in Rikers Island, and I actually had a CO dad, I'm going to present myself as the officer. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure she's never had a parent tell her coercion. Nobody's going to use those words. For me, that's normal.
Mm-hmm.
because that's how I was raised. I
Oh,
asserted my rights to her.
she didn't like it.
She didn't like it at all. But I had sole custody with decision making,
Hmm.
and you have to respect me. Because again, the courts forced this reunification of people not even a party of the case.
Oh, this is terrible. And how long did your child last in that room?
She took him back there. She ended up taking him to the back. She promised him that she wasn't going to have the other kid there. She took him to the back. And when she came back, she said, that basically he refused to see the kid. And she was like, but he said his brother told him he didn't have to do anything he don't want to. So his brother was in his ear.
Hmm.
Telling a person you don't have to do what you don't want to. And my son actually being in trauma informed care therapy, where he's being taught boundaries and safeguards and,
Hmm.
his own little, healthy boundaries and things like that. My son is very well versed in what is safe for him and what's not, and that he has a voice and that he can articulate what he wants and what he doesn't want. So
Did
this is like they're ignored so basically I got him in counseling to help navigate the situation. Hold on. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. It's just low. Let me see. Can you hear me now?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. But it's basically everything he's being taught in counseling, they're undoing
Mm.
through the courts.
And inflicting more trauma on him.
No, it's not trauma. Isn't that what she said?
It's not trauma.
This is not trauma.
Well, what the hell does she call it?
I know for me, I ended up going and getting this food poisoning. And when I went to the orthopedic surgeon, the lady reminded me of her, and I didn't even go back.
Oh, I know what that's like. I do. I know what that's like.
It's like I'm cool. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
find a doctor. I came, I saw, I left.
Oh my gosh. What a horrible position to put a kid in and you in.
And to put a parent in, like you're gonna
Right.
literally turn immediately and say, "Come on, let's go." Like that was the first time that I'm like, "Hey, go if you have to." If you don't, we told him the counselor that he was going and getting the trauma-based counselor was like, he's not ready. But they didn't let her testify. They made his therapist and all the counselors leave 7 times over. To the point where my counselor had to get a lawyer and file an affidavit stating that she lost 5 days worth of pay because she was subpoenaed 5 times to testify.
Oh,
The only people they allowed to testify is after the emergency transfer of custody. Like his whole 7 years of life didn't exist before that.
so wrong.
So, and it's like the whole point is like, for what? For what? Like, why are we pushing this out so far? If not billing hours, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
I don't
There's
I don't I don't see the purpose of it. None of it is in the best interest of the child. Taking the home that he will inherit if because you're putting all these debts on me is not in the best interest of the child.
not at all.
Threatening either parent with jail is not
Mhm.
in the best interest of the child.
They
I
do.
you know, I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
Yeah. Everything when I was in family court, it was a constant threat of jail. It just, if it wasn't the family court judge threatening me with jail, it was the child support judge threatening me with jail. They
Well, if you
thrive on.
think about it right now, let's say they get me arrested right now. Um I lose my job. Then I can't pay the child support. So I end up getting charges for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's as an American born on this soil,
Mm-hmm.
okay? How dare people on this soil make me a criminal,
Yeah.
make me unfit, make me in debt? You can't, you might as well have pulled me over and threw a kilo of cocaine in my car.
Mm,
And who knows? At this
right.
point, I'm like,
Yeah.
so, and my family all are retired military and police. Like, I'm mind blown
Hmm.
and heartbroken. Is this our America?
Oh.
Is this what we've come to? And even, going into this court, as much as I know, I didn't know that this was a court of equity versus a court of law.
Hmm.
That wasn't disclosed.
Right. And these are all money courts.
It's just it's so heartbreaking because when I met Andrea Davis, like the Guardian Ad Litem, I was like, oh, here's this fancy lady, she
Mhm.
looks, you know, really nice. Okay. You know what I mean? Like this could be a good thing. But then as I'm becoming a CASA myself,
Mhm.
I'm hearing who's who and what's what and behind the closed doors. And I'm like, oh no. So then I email and I ask certain questions and like what are your credentials? And
Mhm.
she responded with, I'm appointed by the court.
Yeah.
Here goes the strong arm. I have 5 years guardian ad litem, 20 years, lawyer, attorney, or whatever. I'm like, okay, I have a few more questions.
Mhm.
What's your background on child development, trauma? What do
Mhm.
you know about ACEs, Saunders study? What are you familiar with the UN report from April 13th, 2023 on parental alienation syndrome
Mhm.
and what that's done? She never
Mhm.
even responded.
And that's how ignorant they are. I mean, not all of them, but most of them. These guardian ad litems, I call them third party parasites, but that's just me.
I just don't see a purpose for a guardian ad litem
I don't
at
either.
all.
No, I
I
don't
see,
either.
CASA is through, you know, they got to follow rules because they're through the juvenile court. And then you have this whole little hidden court that's domestic relations division.
Ugh.
It's just mind blowing to me that as I was learning and being trained, I'm like, wait, you guys know this? And nobody's saying anything?
Right. Right. Yeah, they don't want that paycheck coming.
I mean, I don't know, because as a CASA, I was doing it for free. I was
Mm.
volunteering. When they hired me for the CASA thing, he asked me his last question in the interview was, um, he goes, if you had to go against the whole entire court to advocate for a child best interest, would you? And I said, and get adults as enemies? I was born for this.
Mhm.
And he started laughing and he said, yeah, I had a feeling you were going to answer like that. And then he
Mhm.
said, as we were walking out, he was like, there are those who do this because they want to help, and there are those that are called to do this. And I think you were called to do this.
Mhm.
And I said, yeah, because all I wanted to do is grow cherry tomatoes. I
Yeah. And just have a normal life like you thought that was going to happen.
said, I didn't even know that this place was here, like this address, or else I probably would have thought twice, but it was too late. I was already, I put it in the GPS and I'm like, oh no, the office is here.
Oh,
I just rolled with it because I'm like, it was, in the middle of the night, I couldn't sleep. So I was scrolling through Facebook and I see, Voices for Children. And I'm like, ooh, this sounds cool. It's in Lorain County. Maybe I can volunteer or something. Like I'm just thinking it was going to be something else, actually, nothing like this. And then I clicked on more information. More information became a phone interview. The phone interview became the in-person interview. And here I am getting federally background checked with the fingerprints, passing everything and going into the training.
wow.
But then, I go, and then when my children were so happy when they swore me in. My children were there and they were just like, Mom, you're like, you're going to make such a difference. You really love kids. You're really good at this, you know?
Hmm.
And it means a lot coming from my adult children who
Right.
have experienced me. And then my little one was like, Mommy, you're such a good mommy. Like, you're going to do great. And da, 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 you know, like,
Oh,
and I'm just, and then, you know, but before I got sworn in, 18 days before I got sworn in, they took my son. And then the judge that was on my case signed is the one that swore me in with the other judge. And they signed my certificate saying that I'm a court-appointed special advocate for abused and neglected children 18 days after they said I committed emotional harm and my child was in imminent danger. That's when I
that's
realized, like, wow, wow, Houston, we
twisted.
have a problem. We
Yeah.
have a problem.
Yeah, that's twisted.
She didn't even know, the Guardian Ad Litem didn't even know I was in the program.
Oh, that's really bad.
Well, when you only interview me for 1 hour 7 months before and refuse to meet with me or talk to me other than email and intervening in our family wizard
Hmm.
instead of just monitoring and encouraging good communication.
Yeah.
There was one situation where, you know, I bought my son's coat or whatever, and he went to his dad's house and he came back and the zipper was broke. And I didn't realize until he was going to school. And I'm like, oh man. So I emailed my ex-husband and I'm like, hey, can we go half on the coat? Because I bought the last two coats. You
Right.
know what I mean? And whatever, because he's going to need it. It's cold, it's snowing outside, whatever. And he emailed me back and he was like, oh, I'll just buy a new coat when I pick him up on Thursday.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. Wow, I really appreciate that. Like, that was like the best conversation we had in the longest. It didn't have to be long, it didn't have to be
Right.
nothing. It was straight to the point. Man, I really appreciate you because I bought the last two coats.
Hmm.
And he's like, yeah, I'll bring the coat. And then he texted me when he was coming to meet me at the school because I was going to pick up Greenie, which is my son's bearded dragon or whatever.
Hmm.
And he goes, I got the coat, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then the GAL intervened in the conversation and was like, you know, there's places that fix zippers, right?
But then that costs as much as buying the coat.
And I just responded with, oh, seamstresses is a thing of the past in New York. So if you know of one, let me know. You know what I mean? Like, and she didn't respond. But and it didn't dawn on, like, I was being sincere. I really thought she had
Right.
one on in her phone or something, like the way she chimed in. I was like, you must have one. And she didn't even respond. And then I was just like,
How rude.
wait, she's like, that was so out of line and
Yeah.
unprofessional. And it was the first time in a long time that he didn't call me a name, a derogatory name, or be, you know, rude. And I was like really appreciative that, okay, cool, you know.
Hmm.
And then she did that, and I was like, why are you causing conflict? What is wrong with you? And especially getting the training that I was getting is like, wow, that's what we doing today.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they enjoy it. To keep the case going, they cause more conflict.
My heart's broken. That's all I gotta say. Like, and then now she's, you know, coming at me crazy and motioning the court. Everybody had to get off my case because I put on the record it's conflict of interest, and they finally all agreed that there's conflict of interest. So we're waiting for a visiting judge to come on the case,
Okay.
and she just motioned the court now with a whole rant of her feelings and
Oh, feelings.
apparently she had somebody infiltrate. They sent mothers, and this is why I'm heartbroken too. This is why, and I hate to say it like this, but this is why we don't have a mothersrights.org,
Yeah.
but they have a father's rights
But the
because these,
fathersrights.org don't even help them either. So go on.
yeah, but but you understand what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
we can't even get there. You know what I mean? Because they're sending mothers in to befriend me in my safe space. Now, my Facebook is private. Some things I'll put public. But you can pick and choose who can see what and what can be what.
Hmm.
And I have privacy things on my on intentionally.
Right.
That's
Right.
my safe space. That's mine.
Hmm.
And so when I say certain things on there, it's not for the whole public to see. And she obviously had somebody snooping on my page and screenshotting everything. It
Hmm.
could be possibly her for all I know, because
Oh
she
yeah.
probably made a fake profile. But the fact that I feel so invaded in my privacy to the point where she even showed the court my personal DMs. How'd you get that, lady?
Oh.
So she's saying, and I quote, that I called her a cokehead whore. And
Mhm.
then she put the conversation in my personal conversation in DMs. But I have it right here, and it says, I, I'm in my safe space. I can have an opinion. I could talk to other mothers that have, we have our own little group where if they confided in me, and we just go back and forth. And it's embarrassing, but it's my safe space. You know what I mean? But since she wants to go and put it in the court, what I did was I said, Andrea is a cokehead whore according to the other attorney. But
Right.
she split it up and showed it to the court like if I personally called her a cokehead whore. And this is where it becomes a problem, because if you're going to mislead the court with the
Mm-hmm.
misrepresentation of facts, how many lives have you affected? Because I know you're terrorizing me and my son.
Right.
And it's this type of thing. Now, for example, I'm waiting for a visiting judge. If it's this easy to motion one of the judges in the courthouse, why are we keeping me separated from my son with my son's health declining right now? If it's that easy,
Mm-hmm.
why are we using my court case to address her feelings? I can't listen. My thing is private. Nobody told you to snoop.
Right. Right.
Nobody told you, how there's like a saying, isn't there a saying about that? Like you you don't want to find it, you go looking for, you're gonna find what you want, what you're looking for. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's my safe space. So, and then she's telling the courts that I'm stalking her. I don't know. I looked at the thing. Doesn't that constitute stalking if you're not invited and you infiltrated my situation with a spy, or with bad intentions, with an intent to look for something? Like, you're fishing for
Oh.
something on my personal page, and now I have no safe space, and now you want the court to gag order me, or you want the court to sanction me, you want the court to put me in jail for being in my safe space. I don't know. I saw an advocate here in Lorain County that went off on a council person and called her all kinds of derogatory names on his live, and he said it's his live. It's
Right.
his Facebook. He has, if you're a public official and somebody forms an opinion of you and doesn't trust you, that's we the people's right to advocate and say our personal opinion of what we've seen or what we heard or what we experienced.
Mm-hmm.
She said she feels she's in danger because I mentioned the Hunger Games. I just seen
Oh.
the movie. I think it's cool. I think
Right.
it's cool. And I
Well.
said, let the Hunger Games begin, because it's like in the Hunger Games, they took all the children from the homes
Right.
and
And
have them fighting to the death for they're surviving in the wilderness on their own,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
away from their homes, their loving families. They have to go and fight.
And
And
you're not
that's what happens in these courts. They
right.
take children, they put them in foster care. Now they're wondering what's going on. Like, a lot of these kids don't
Oh.
even know why
Right.
or understand why. I'm not saying there's not abused kids, or else I would have never,
Yeah.
applied for the CASA. I understand but
Right.
there's more reasons of there's more misuse of the system than there is actual
Well, if she's worried about you
use.
saying the Hunger Games, then you're like probably the 30,000th parent to have used that analogy.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, apparently I don't have no rights. My son doesn't have any rights. I don't have any rights. And then they're making this go out so long. I've been separated from my son for 20 months. We're going on 2 years.
oh,
And because why? Because they keep trying to enforce fees. So now she's saying sanction me and that oh, and then what was it that she said in her thing? She said that the Guardian Ad Litem uh intends to pursue other ways outside of the court or something like that. So what are you trying to imply, lady? You're going to have somebody attack me, beat me up? What you going to do outside of the court? So what does that mean?
Right. Right. Okay, I'm going to play this as this was taking place on a recess during a hearing. Here we go. It's loud.
No, we're not gonna go to trial. If you guys are gonna throw a forensic psychology report that costs you $35,000, check into it. I'm not gonna stick you on this. You can fall over receivers. So I'm gonna go look at, I'm gonna give these records and more records and do more work. Yeah, you're gonna threaten me more. Almost. I did that anyway. There's a quarter you're supposed to pay me. You did. I do a lot of. I did pay you by September 1st. Andrea, this is so unprofessional. You've been like this since day one. Please. Oh, thank you. Okay.
This is how they treat parents.
So basically, she came up to me, and she was like, they were trying to throw out the forensic psychologist.
Mm-hmm.
It was a 6-hour psychological. I did everything they asked of me, and I did it. I got it done, and I was able to pay her the $2,000 that they wanted me to pay by a certain time. So when I paid that, and I did that, I emailed her, and I'm like, hey. $1,000, switch to $250 payment because I was doing increments of 250, and I said you could switch it to 1,000 because I was able to borrow the money. Just switch it to 1,000 and I'll send you the 1,000 now. That's satisfied. Boom. I said, now I did the psychological and the assessments. That's satisfied. Boom. And she emailed me back, thank you. But then she went and told the magistrate, because we ended up having a new magistrate. She had told the magistrate I didn't pay her $1.
Mm.
But then right there, you see that she's like, I said, Andrea, I paid you by September 1st. And she was like, half. But half is something. You can't
Right.
tell the courts that I didn't pay nothing
They're
or that
never.
I'm not making no effort. You cannot do that. You know what I mean? Like, and so again, the misrepresentation of facts to mislead the court, that constitutes as that can possibly be made into fraud upon the court.
Yeah. Extortion.
Conspiracy
Mm-hmm.
to deprive someone of their rights under the color of
Harassing.
law.
Mm-hmm.
And and I emailed my ex-husband, I'm like, yo, what are we doing? All the money we've put towards attorneys and everything, and I'm going into debt. If we would have just come together and put that in a Roth IRA and a trust for our son, he would have been set. What are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
And
Does he get this?
this whole case revolves around him forcing his choice of relationship over the safety and well-being of the child. Because he went and moved in and married after the zero contact was put in place, and then motioned the court stating that they wanted to vacate the zero contact because of the father's situation. How is that the best interest of the child?
Oh.
And I'm gonna be honest, like they're probably gonna come at me and put me in prison and I don't know, they'll probably rip me a new one but the facts are the facts. If they're waiting 20 months pushing this out so long on a temporary order, and there's no judgment or decision, and there's no findings of unfitness, and all you're doing is ripping me financially, what do you expect me to do? I'm crying out to the heavens right
Mm-hmm.
now. Because I never wished ill will on any of these people, but then they're doing all this stuff to me and they expect me to just lay down and say, yes, a master. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry. I'm feeling some type of way right now. I'm way too dark and they're way too light to be doing this to me. Is it because I'm minority? Is it because I'm a female? What's the problem? Because there's a lot of factors in here and all I'm seeing is hate.
Mm-hmm. And
And
you,
none of that is in the best interest of the child.
no,
I
no.
came in here, I literally am so heartbroken because I love the law. I love police officers. I love, you know, military people. I love uniform. I love people in authority. Like I give so much respect to that. But
Mhm,
the distrust that I have in the system right now, and that's
mhm.
part of their oath, is to gain the trust of the people. I don't have that right now.
No, no, I don't
And
either.
neither does my son. How is my son supposed to trust when he was taught to have safe people and speak the truth?
Hmm. Hmm. So I've got another recording of a police officer. Recording was coming out real low, and I am going to have Nicole explain what was going on that tape.
So basically, when we went to the hearing, they tried to say that I couldn't go volunteer at the school because she put me back to supervised visits.
Mm.
And I'm like, but what do I do? I've been waiting for like almost a month. I volunteered at the school for Grandparents' Day to pour coffee for the grandparents, and that gave me the opportunity to be able to, you know, congregate with the school staff and they could know who I am.
Hmm.
And he was just like, the magistrate was like, well, we're putting you back to supervised visits. And I said, well, with all due respect, you're now going to tell me in your order that I can't volunteer somewhere on my own personal time because my son's only living grandparent is my father, and he can't travel since he has heart condition now.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so he can't come over here. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
he can't travel. I don't know what happened to him, but I know he got really sick. I'm not sure if he got ended up getting COVID or something, but
Hmm.
he's had complications since. And so I was like, so these are grandparents that has nothing to do with my son, but it gives me an opportunity to be with
Right.
the other parents so you're gonna literally write an order in this courthouse telling me what I'm doing on my own personal time now. And then he didn't do the order. He just stayed quiet because they know they can't do that. You know what I mean? Like that's an overreach.
Hmm.
So when I went to volunteer, I showed up in the morning to volunteer. I went in there and I noticed that the coffee was put away. Like they were expecting me. The
Hmm.
coffee was put away. Nobody was serving coffee.
Hmm.
And so I showed up and I looked around and everybody's acting real weird. So I come up to the thing and I'm like, hi, to the other parents. She's like, oh, hi. And then all of a sudden the lady comes up to me and she's like, what's your name? I'm marking down all the volunteers. And I told her my name and she ain't marking down nothing. So all of a sudden she walks away, she like scurries away. And I'm like, oh, here we go. And then the officer comes up to me. He's like, you need to leave in front of all the grandparents and everybody coming in. And they're looking at me and I'm like, please don't do this. Please don't do this. This is so, please don't do this. Like
Oh.
I was like holding back the tears and I'm like, don't do that. Don't do that. Now, mind you, I have been involved the whole school year. The whole school year, I was involved in everything. I made sure my son had everything he needed. I went to every parent teacher conference, every concert. You know what I mean? And I'm like, please don't do this. And he was like, no, you have to go. There's a court order that says you have to go. And I was just like, really? So I called my attorney and I'm like, is there something I should know? Because I don't have a court order saying I can't be here right now. And he was like, just go outside and we'll talk, whatever, whatever.
Mhm.
And I'm like, this is absolutely absurd and so embarrassing. So I'm like telling the officer, like, can you back up and get away from me? So I'll walk out, but you're not gonna escort me out. Like, I'm not a criminal. Like, don't do
Oh.
this. So then when I'm walking out, I turned around and I looked at the principal, one of the principals, and I'm like, this is really absurd to me that you guys are saying that this is a Christian school and you literally just did this without getting to know me. Like I'm mind blown.
Mhm. Oh.
And I think I talked more than I should to him, but I was like so embarrassed and I was so like,
Mhm.
oh my, I didn't even know what to think. So I go to the car and I'm like, call my attorney and I'm like, what's going on? And he was like, listen, they told you that they didn't think that was a good idea. I said, you can't dictate and micromanage my life.
Oh.
Like you're literally telling me I can't volunteer somewhere? I said, there's no court order that says I can't do that. I don't care what
Right.
anybody feels. I'm going to assert my right to live my life. Life, liberty, justice. What
Yeah.
what is all this? And so I went to the police station afterwards, and then I was like crying because I'm like, I can't even get off the property because everything's so locked up. I couldn't even find the exit. They have gates closed. I'm like, "Dude, what is this, Rikers Island?"
Yeah.
I
Right.
just want to go. So I'm like, oh my goodness, like I don't want them to arrest me thinking I don't want to leave, but the gates are closed. Like, what do I do? So then so I drive off the property finally, and I go over to the police department and I ask for a police officer to file a police report. Do you know they contacted the school?
Hmm.
The police station contacted the school. What if my incident was with a parent? They didn't even ask me.
Right.
So then the school sends their SRO officer. Why couldn't I just get a regular officer? Why it had to be one of your people? That was weird to me. And especially
Mhm.
coming from a family of officers, that was really kind of like, what kind of organization is this?
Right. Like now what?
So then the SRO officer shows up and was like, I'm so sorry. I don't know what I would do if a guardian ad litem is telling me I can't see my kid. Like, this is so heartbreaking because your son has literally come up to me because he said he wants to be a cop when he gets older, blah
Oh.
blah blah, and that he said that he was excited because he was like, my mom volunteered, you'll get to see my
Oh.
mom, you'll get to see my mom.
Oh.
He knew he wasn't going to see me, but he knew that I was going to volunteer, and he was all excited. He was telling the SRO officer, and now the SRO officers think I'm a danger to children.
Oh.
So I'm like, what is this? And he was like, well, they forwarded me the email. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, they forwarded me the email. And I said, so not only did they not allow you to have your own mind to think, they're orchestrating how you're going to think, perceive me before you show up here to take my incident report
Mm.
by sending you an email. He goes, yeah, the Guardian Ad Litem emailed the school and the school forwarded it to me. And I said, oh, okay. And then I said,
Mm.
I was like, I was like, are you recording? And he was like, yeah. And I said, okay. And I pulled out my phone and I said, can you read that email? And then I started recording.
Mhm.
And he reads the email verbatim. And he's reading the court order about my supervised visits being back over at that same doctor that threatened me.
Mm. Mhm.
And I said, that's my parenting time. My parenting time, my visitation has nothing to do with my parental rights to be involved in my son's school. And then he read the email and it says from the Guardian Ad Litem, she's like, when she gets there, I'll call you. So she must be following me or having people follow me because she
Mhm.
knows apparently when I get places. And she goes, when she gets there, I'll call you and use your SRO officer to have her to escort her away. And that's not verbatim, but I'm just saying that's so
Right.
she's giving directives to separate a parent from a child with no court order. So then when I emailed the principal and asked them to give me that email, she chimed in because I CC'd everybody.
Mhm.
And she chimes in and starts making this narrative like I'm oh, the magistrate told you not to volunteer and you went and did it anyway. If the magistrate doesn't want me to do something, they got to put it in an order. And I
Right.
want it signed by the judge, not just the magistrate. Not when you're stopping my life now.
Mm.
So
So,
basically, like she directed the school to humiliate and ruin my reputation and now everybody thinks I'm a danger to children. So then the principal gets on and he's like, I said, I want the email. And he said, the correspondence don't exist. I have this in writing. Well, that's funny because I got an audio of the officer reading it verbatim.
oh.
And then he said, I can't come to the premises unless I email and he'll contact me like the day before and give me the yay or nay if I'm allowed.
Mhm.
But meanwhile, the person who was subject to the zero contact between the kids, she's over there posing as his mother and has full
Oh,
reign and access to all his schooling and his parenting, being the parent, with no authority to do so, and no findings of unfitness on my end.
mm-hmm. Just terrible.
They
I don't
even
even.
put in the application when they enrolled him that there was no other parent outside the home, with a temporary order with no facts. And I asked for the facts findings and conclusion of law. They responded. They said they don't have no facts findings and conclusion. There's no judgment or decision on the case because they use a 75N motion. So I'm being severed from my child in all of this. I'm being threatened. I'm being extorted out of money. I'm being, call it what you want. I'm
Mhm.
telling you as an American how I feel and what's happening to me. And I know that I just got paid today and they put $204 in my bank account. But I'm a lab tech for a hospital.
Mhm.
But after they take out medical dental vision, which is also court ordered, and then they take out the child support, which is inflating my income, I'm paying $1,300 a month for one child. So if I get sick or anything, I'll probably bring home $100
Oh, that's insane. Yeah,
every 2 weeks. That's $200 for every I just got for 2 weeks of pay.
this imputation of, I don't know if that's a word, imputing an income has got to
Manually
go.
imputing, yeah.
Yeah, that was done to me. That's done to everybody I talk to.
I mean, there's case law that's been won where fathers have won and stuff like that in the state of Ohio, but they don't care because they have this broad discretion. And that's what brings me back to SB 174 is they're doing this with broad discretion and you want to give these people full power. You're going to make them into Thanos.
Yeah.
I'm a nerd. I'm sorry. I'll have corny little comparisons. I love X-Men. I love Thanos.
Yeah.
I love Marvel. Oh man, I'm a geek like that. I geek out. I like Star
No,
Wars.
that's fine.
Yoda's my man.
Well, they should not be giving these people broad discretion. Oh my,
Well, they already have broad
I
discretion. This
know,
is what they're
but
doing. They don't want to give them complete discretion. What are they going to do with complete discretion? I'll tell you what they're going to do because they have
oh
it in the
yeah.
422 pages. After I testified, it seems that the amendments seem to hem me up even more, which I find interesting.
Hmm. So you're just,
So I
well,
haven't seen my son since I haven't seen my son since Easter in person, and I was supposed to have him for Mother's Day,
mhm.
and they took that back from me. Um, they took it away from me, and then I just got to see him on FaceTime. And now since his health's been declining, they won't even send me picture. I keep asking every time when he gives me an update, like, can I talk to him today on the app? And he doesn't respond, or he does respond, it says no. And then when he sends me pictures of his condition, he doesn't send me even a picture of his face. It's just his arm or his leg or
So,
and that's not supposed to psychologically affect anybody at all. I'm mourning a child and grieving a child that's 10 miles away from my house. A home that I built after domestic violence survivor and rebuilt that is for him,
hmm.
for all my children. I have three dwellings. I have a triplex and I have three dwellings. I have three children. So God forbid something happens to me, they all have passive income. I'm trying to teach them the right way, you know what I mean?
Right, right. Oh, I'm sorry you're going through this. I'm glad we talked about this in relation to SB 174.
I am just heartbroken because like
Ah,
they finally mention and give acknowledgement to the fact that children's best interests need to be first. They need to consider the domestic violence. They need to so if that's the case and that's really the intention and this
mhm.
goes through, I guess my case would really put that to the test now, wouldn't it? Because that would mean an automatic reversal and give them back immediately because they didn't take any of that into consideration. But there's a problem. They gave them complete discretion. So that ultimately trumps everything in those 422 pages because they're going to say, we have complete discretion to do what we want. Now we're just going to give them to foster care because both parents are unfit, according to us.
So,
Pay us again.
oh my gosh.
I mean, that's just a scenario, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
that's how which way it can go. This is how ugly it can get.
Oh, yes. I agree with you. And to think that, from my understanding, is that with this SB 174, what, a bunch of attorneys and judges rewrote things in there? Yeah.
I mean, it was unanimous when all the bar members said, yeah, send it to the I
Oh
mean,
my
come on. Like,
God.
okay, so when I went to took the paralegal course, they taught us that when you take the oath as a bar member, your oath is to the court and then to the client.
Mm-hmm.
So the f- but in the Bible it says people perish for lack of knowledge. So people are asleep, they don't know their rights. And if they knew their rights, they would know that we, the people, are above the court system and
Mm-hmm.
that we're supposed to be able to petition and to be able to vote them out if they're not doing what's best for the people. But somehow it's become this like they flipped it.
Yeah, they did.
They think children. I talked to a lot of teenagers and they didn't even know. I talked to a 16-year-old and she was astounded. She went to the council meeting and she goes, "What is this? Like, this is so cool, because she likes law and she's like, maybe she wants
Oh
to be a cop
yeah.
when she get." And I
Yeah.
said, "Okay." I said, you like this?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "You're 16 now, right?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I said, "You can do this. You could run for council at 18 when you graduate, 19, you know what I mean?" And
Mm-hmm.
she goes, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Okay, I want to look into this then." So I plan on keep, contacting the teenagers and start letting them know what their options are. Because for some reason they're taught like that's some kind of outreach. You got to be 40 years old to be a council
Oh,
member, and it's like kind of like a celebrity status. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you know what I mean? No, they're supposed to work for us and make sure that they do what's best for us. Not that they've been doing that, but.
right. Oh,
My goal is to educate the children. If we want this change to happen, we're going to have to like really educate the children on what their reachable goals are. I don't want these kids out there running amok and committing crimes thinking that their dreams can't happen until they're 40.
right.
No, it could happen right now. Happen right now, today.
Mm-hmm.
They could vote at 18. Why wouldn't we teach them that they can be counsel? But they don't want the minorities. The rate of minorities that actually vote is very low.
Oh.
So,
So, where do you stand now? What are you waiting? What is your next, I don't know, court appearance, or what's going to happen
well,
next?
I filed to preserve the record at the safeguards because I have addressed it multiple times in the court, begging them. My son's health is declining. Can you please do an emergency anything to make sure I have access, to make sure I can be there? Because I'm not one. I mean, by law, I can show up to my son's doctor's appointment, but that's all I'm going to do is give myself in to the enemy because they're waiting for me to assert my rights like that so they can call the cops and say, "Oh, she's harassing me. Oh, I'm in danger. Oh, she's a threat." No, if my son has a condition where it could attack his kidneys, I want to be there in case I got to get tested to make sure I'm a match. He could have both my kidneys. I don't
Mm-hmm.
care. My life is for my child.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh,
Like, how dare they make those decisions and not involve me? And then you're gonna have the stepmother there that create that
oh.
it was part of the reason why. And don't get me wrong, like I was a stepmother at one point too, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
but
but you're a
there
nice
my
one.
kids have a stepmother. Yeah, yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe it's because we're older. I'm older than her.
You're probably
Mm.
prettier.
I'm not gonna see. That's where us women be messing up. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I ain't, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not over there to try to. I don't compete with no one. I am a woman that will fix the next woman's crown.
Hmm.
I'm a woman that will put a crown on a woman that doesn't even think she has it.
I tried that and look where it got me.
Well, look where it got me. The woman went and screenshot everything of my personal conversation and gave it to the Guardian Ad Litem. But you know what? I still love her because now the Guardian Ad Litem did the most, and now I have to preserve the record on the facts. The facts are the facts.
Right.
You're going to
And
invade my privacy. There's clauses for that. There's case law for that. There's laws and rules for that. And that's definitely out of pocket
and
in
facts don't
layman's
have
term.
feelings.
In layman's
Yeah.
terms. She was way out of pocket, way
Oh,
out of line. And now she's all in her feelings. Well, you're not worried about my son's feelings when he was telling you he don't want to see that person.
right.
You weren't worried about my son's feelings right now when he's crying and mourning his mother
Hmm.
and grieving, according to what I heard from the letter I read from the counselor. You're not worried about my son's feelings when he's telling you the truth and you're ignoring him and like,
Oh,
but then she says I ruined her career. No, you did that by yourself.
oh yeah, all by yourself.
And I'm allowed to get together with other mothers. That's not conspiring against you. That's victims coming together. Okay, what I did on my social media was I said, anybody who's had this guardian ad litem contact me, not if they you retained her, but if they court appointed her. Because I need to get my research and my data. I'm allowed to do research and data and collect evidence because the facts are the facts. And if I'm not the only victim, it basically what my thing did was like the Roblox thing. When you come across on Facebook, it's like, has your child suffered this from Roblox or social media? Contact me. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm collecting data and I'm trying to see, and other parents are coming up to me like, oh my goodness, like, nobody believes me. Like, and this is our safe space.
Right.
Now, I
Right.
could tell you, I went to one of those domestic violence places. I'm spilling my heart out thinking I'm safe. And then I turn to the side and I see the lady's face and I'm looking at her and I'm like, what? And she was like, oh, I feel so bad. I know the judge's daughter so well and I know them so good. You're not supposed to be sitting here right now. That should have been disclosed. How is this a safe place for survivors? And I'm spilling the beans and you didn't disclose that you're personally their friend.
Oh,
So other parents have experienced that too, other mothers, and they're like, there's nowhere for us to go. And I'm like, I'm right here.
hmm.
Jesus is always there.
Yeah.
You can be safe with me. And if you want to stab me in the back, I know my Lord is with me.
Hmm.
What does he say? Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For your rod and your staff, they comfort me.
Right. Right.
Not everybody's built for this, and not everybody has the
Oh,
mind that I have to see things the way I see it. And trust me, I wrestle with myself. I wrestle with God because I'm like a psychological. Like
mm,
sometimes in my flesh, I'm like, I wish I was crazy. This probably would have been over and done with that. I probably have my kid
right.
if I
Mm.
was crazy. But here I am trying to be civil,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
and my son is, like I'm like, I feel like I let him down. But my God tells me this is bigger than us.
Hmm.
And when I saw the senator ask me to join her in making a new bill so we can change the laws on how GALs and CASAs work, then maybe that's what God intended when he threw me in the fire.
Hmm.
But in the meantime, what happens? Okay, so I help
Hmm.
other families and I help other children and I help other, but I can't even help my own. And I'm not unfit. I did everything I'm supposed to do. I
Yeah.
was cordial with a man that punched me in my face. I was cordial with a man that put my son through a closet door and wailed on him. And that's
Mm.
not even his son, just because he defended me when he hit me.
Mm.
But I'm a forgiving person, you feel me? Like we just wasn't meant to be together. Okay, everything was going not great,
Hmm.
but man, ever since that GAL got on the case, it's like it's impossible now.
Right. She created more
If there was
conflict.
ever an ounce of just like cordialness, like
Uh,
just
mm,
it's just heartbreaking.
it
And
is.
I'm gonna keep telling my truth because it's my truth. I'm gonna keep saying what I witnessed because I'm an eyewitness. I'm gonna keep saying what I'm saying, what the knowledge that they trained me. They
Yeah.
trained me and then they got mad because
You learned the law. That's what happened.
it's not even the law, it's the playbook. It's a
Oh,
playbook.
yes.
For them, it's a game.
Yep.
And that broke my heart because so many casas have left because they're like seeing things like this happen and they didn't care.
Terrible. Yeah, this playbook has been going on for the last 50 years.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I'm gonna put this as a disclosure. I'm so goofy and I love my life and I love my children. I love what I do for a living. You know what I mean? I love everything about coming here. But I'm just so mind blown and my heart is broken. You know what I mean? But my
Oh,
pain became purpose. You know what I mean? But I'm letting it be known because the stuff I'm disclosing and the stuff that I'm exposing and the stuff that I'm finding out, I'm like, I don't even want to know this.
right, right.
But I'm not going to turn away a mom that's crying. I'm not going to turn away a mom. There was a mom that called me and she's like, can you sign into the Zoom because I have nobody and they're talking
Oh,
about taking away my parental rights. And I'm like, listen, if I sign in, that could be real bad for you. They
yeah.
know my name. I don't want to be guilty, feel guilty if it doesn't work out for you.
Mm,
And she was just like, please, please. And I had just had eye surgery, so I was blind and I couldn't even see, and I'm just like, oh my goodness. I'm like, listen, okay. So I go and I tried my text was all messed up, but I went on social media and I'm like, to anybody, I went on one of those safe space, medias. Can anybody sign in? I don't even know who y'all are. I'm just throwing it out there as a prayer, that somebody just shows up.
mm.
And 11 women signed in. I've never seen him, never heard of him. I don't know who that was, but 11 women signed into the hearing, and the judge didn't even touch parental rights as a topic.
Good. It really helps to have court watchers.
But she pulled me in as soon as she saw my name. She was like, Miss Amill. I'm like, hi, Judge. And she was just like, I'm like, I'm sorry. I can't see right now. I just had surgery. My eyes kind of
Mm,
hurt. And she was just like, oh, are you in the right hearing? And I said, yeah. She's like, well, you're not a party of the case. I'm like, no. And she was just like, well, and I said, I was invited by the mother. And then she was just like, oh. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like a court watcher, I guess. And she goes, a court watcher? I don't know what that is.
oh,
I'm
you're
like,
gonna learn.
I said, well, no, but it's a court observer. I just did this with CASA. What do you mean you don't know what this is? CASA's
Mhm.
sign in all the time to court watch. They call it court observing. Why wouldn't you know that?
Right.
So she's like, she goes, oh, okay, I'll put you back in the waiting room. And then I text the mom. I'm like, dude, I don't know. I feel bad. I don't. She's like, you better not go nowhere. And I'm just like, oh my God, if this ends up bad. But it helped the woman. It ended up helping her.
Oh, thank
Glory to
God.
God. So, but at the end of the day, it's like, again, I'm grieving and mourning. Why can't I just see my son?
Mm. You'll have to
Mm.
keep me posted on everything.
I will definitely be. Well, if you guys see that I'm arrested, just I'm not a criminal. I promise. I'm not like doing like that president that was like, I'm not a crook. No,
Yeah.
no, I
Yeah.
literally am not a criminal. I'm literally not a criminal. They're just making me a criminal. And I don't know how that's gonna go from there. Of course, I'll automatically lose my career at the hospital.
Oh, they
And
are.
then I'll lose my freedom, I guess, because then I'll owe child support and I'll be in contempt for that. I mean, they're making me be that. Like,
That would be the dumbest thing they could do.
listen, I expect the snake to bite me. But you know what God did, right?
Mhm.
The venom don't touch his people.
Yeah.
Which disciple got bit? Was it Peter? I don't know. Somebody got bit.
Yeah.
They didn't die.
Well, I'm glad you came on, and I will take all your contact information along with the testimony. I can upload that to our podcast notes as well.
Okay. And
And
unfortunately, because the Guardian Ad Litem had people snooping on my page, and she's probably still on my page. I'm not accepting any new friends
right,
requests. And I know there's a lot of parents reaching out to me, and I'm heartbroken over it because ever since I came on here, so I can't accept any more friends requests because I got to figure out who's who and what's what on my page now.
hmm,
Because she obviously is just, and that constitutes a stalking.
yeah,
Hello, that was private. I got to
yeah,
accept you. So if you're infiltrating and you're sending people, like you're going out of your way to look for me.
right, right. Aw. Well, hey, don't jump off, okay?
Okay.
Okay, Slam the Gavel is a podcast to help the public understand what really goes on in these courtrooms. I'm your host, Maryann Petri. You can find me on Spotify, YouTube. Please like and subscribe, Apple, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google, and other platforms I don't even know about. Again, feel free to buy me a coffee to help keep this podcast going. Thank you, Nicole Amill. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
your courage. Thank you so
No,
much.
God bless you because you're just as courageous. I know they put you through it too. And I thank God for all of the every one of them, like every father out there that's fighting, every mother that's fighting. Just if we keep speaking up about what happens in the dark, there's nothing they can do about it but just make it right.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
God bless you. God bless everybody.